Hello, my name is Luke, and the elders of our church at Eagle Point Community Bible Church got together about a week and a half ago and decided to bring you a message each day, just a short one, on the days leading up to Easter. I've tried to make this video a number of times now, and tonight, getting ready for tomorrow. And I've just got to be completely upfront with you. It's not gone real well. For you see, this week has been a very difficult week for my family. One of my dear cousins, who is 14, and one of my daughter's closest confidants and friends, he called me uncle, and he's our neighbor, and he passed away just a few days ago. And my family, my immediate and my close family members, there's a lot of struggle going on right now. So trying to make a video about the excitement on the week leading up to Easter has proven to be a bit of a challenge for me. That being said, I think there's a lot to learn from this. One of the things I've noticed about the last few days is sadness comes in waves, and you can feel them coming on. As the sadness grows, there's nothing you can do to hold it back. And it grows and it builds until it becomes quite overwhelming. And at that time, every time, the one thing that reaches down and pulls me and my family members out of that sadness is the amazing hope that Easter so clearly demonstrates. That is the hope of a risen God who has conquered death, who gives us the hope that Wyatt, my nephew, my cousin, is alive and well and healed and not in pain. That we are not remembering a young man for who he was as much as thinking forward and looking forward to the time of meeting up with him again. That hope is only brought about because the one true, almighty, strong God demonstrated and lived through Easter. Or rather, he is the reason for Easter. For you see, when he died on Good Friday, in the despair and the sadness that followed, he then overcame that death and promised that life, eternal life, to those whom would give their lives to him. And Wyatt had. So this experience is lending a whole new light to me to Easter. As we get ready for it, it's not with the excitement of a large family gathering of meals or even a Sunday morning service or it's just not with joy and gladness in my heart right now, but it's with thankfulness. It's with thankfulness to a risen Lord. With that, I was asked to teach on a while ago Matthew 21:33 through 23:19. As I went through this, the Pharisees are trying to trick Jesus. They're trying to get a one-up on him, to make him stumble, to show that they're smarter than him. They start by doing all sorts of questions, one of which is who should we pay taxes to Caesar? And the Lord demonstrates that by showing them the face on the coin and says, is this Caesar's? They say, oh yes, then pay to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's. They go into, or rather he goes into parables on the wedding feast, where he talks about many that are called to be his, but only a few will choose to be his. He talks about the greatest commandment, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and the second, to love your neighbor as yourself. He talks about all these things in this section in reference or in response to answering questions largely of the Pharisees and them trying to stump him. However, there's one verse that stands out above all to me and to my wife and to us as we struggle through this time with Wyatt's loss. And that comes in chapter 22, verse 32. Let me read it for you. It says, I am the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. He is not God of the dead, but of the living. That verse demonstrates this whole section on what God is saying, or Jesus is saying to these Pharisees. For you see, Abraham and Isaac and Jacob had all long since died on this earth. They were no more on this earth. And yet God says, I am a God of these men, for I am a God of the living, stating they are in heaven and alive and well. And then he goes on just a few days later to show that he has the power to put these men in heaven by dying on the cross at the hands of these same Pharisees, at the hands of evil men, at the hands that are no different than my hands, other than I have Jesus Christ in my heart. And after he dies, 3 days later, he rises again. And thus is Easter. The hope that I have to see my nephew one day again. The hope that I have that this is not all there is. The hope that I have that I can look over at my cousins as they talk about and remember their son and hold their hand and tell them there is more to come, and that they can then look up to the heavens knowing they will see their son again. This hope does not come by false thoughts, by fictitious thinking, or just wishful thinking. It is backed by so much evidence, overwhelming evidence, not the least, in fact the greatest, of which is a God that made Easter by rising from the dead. May God bless you. May you hold your loved ones dearly, and may you rest in the hope that there is more to come, much more to come. Thank God, Jesus Christ, for Easter.